Hi, thank you for joining today. My name's Adam Oblath. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Anterra BI. I'm excited to bring you today the improvements to Anterra Statement Builder, what's already the best-in-class financial reporting tool for the construction industry, and all the improvements we've brought to date. Quick apology for those who originally had signed up for the widget deep dive. We'll be doing that in our next webinar series at the end of next month. I'm excited today to show you ASB. I'm going to give some of the other attendees just 1 or 2 more minutes before we get started. And while I share my screen, just a little bit of housekeeping. I'd love if this was more interactive. Obviously, using the webinar technology, we don't get the opportunity to do that with voice and video. But if you could please put any questions you have into the Q&A, I'll review those as we go and answer any questions you have either as we go or at the end of the call. So again, I'll just give 30 seconds while I bring up my screen here to let any other people join. But I want to welcome those of you who have joined so far. And certainly in the Q&A, if you can't see my screen by now, please do let me know. So I'll go ahead and get started. So right off the bat, this release represents a major update to the financial statement builder, focused on, and this will follow the agenda today, on performance improvements, some enhancements to the statement search and sort capabilities, new Excel export options within the report viewer, not just the report designer, but also in the viewer for your users. A big update to the descending rows to help key into some key pain points and solve those for our users. An update of the automatic date parameters on the reports, a new improved statement creation workflow, and a format painter. There are also additional improvements included with bug fixes and other enhancements, but we're going to focus on those core items first. So to start off, I'm going to navigate to the Anterra Statement Builder tool. Now, immediately you'll notice, for those of you who've used this before, this looks immediately different. First thing I want to point you to on the side, we use this panel when you first come in to show what's new, to talk at high level about the updates, and also link to the knowledge base article, where you'll find additional detail and also YouTube videos that will review these features as well. So let's start right off the bat with the performance improvements. Not only does this view load at least 95% faster, if not 99% faster for some of our users, but it also speeds up the ability to navigate in and around reports. So the speed immediately is updated, but also when you're navigating through reports and reviewing items, it is faster. I'll show you some of those as we get into some of the detail. Let's talk about the search and sort. The search function has been unified across this section. So if you are looking for terms, you can start to type and they will show up. Then it will actually flush your search. There was a bug in the prior release where if you went into an item, navigated to that, hit the back button, that it would then show you the wrong result in the search. That bug is gone. But I also want to show you how you can use now this sorting function. So we have multiple examples here of obviously sort by name. That was how the original was by default sorted. But now you get the opportunity to sort by last modified. So I can now put this in descending order. So these are the statements that I have modified most recently. So if your user wants to come in and quickly update the last statement that they touched, you can do that now quickly here. In addition, the sort by type, so that's income statement or balance sheet. And then to take that one step further, by adding this to the view, we can now simplify the sorting by row design or column template. So this helps you answer the question, and I'll put this in ascending order for us, is, and first for this selection, what we show is we sort it by type and then by row design. The idea here is that the rows you're using, you want to know where you've applied those to different column templates, how you're using them across. This gives you a simple way to be able to see this. And what the sort does is it first sorts by type and then by row design. That is to give you the reference of the type, as that's the most important first designation. So balance sheet, and then sorted by the row designs, and then income statement and sorted by their row designs. Similarly, the flip is, well, I want to know within these which column templates I've deployed. So now you can see it's doing it by type and then putting in the various column templates. So what you're showing in the context of the columns that you're showing in the report. But just being able to get quickly to that exact statement you need right away. We also sort of move on then to the Excel export option. So we updated the Excel export options, both from running the statement and previewing it within this viewer, but also when it's deployed into the menu structure, is that we changed the two Excel options for a presentation view. So that is, you're exporting to Excel the headers, the logo, the look and feel of the particular statement into Excel. But the big change we made was into this Excel data only view. What this does when it exports to Excel is it will actually take out, I'll move this over from my other screen, it removes the headers and the logo, but it maintains all of the drill throughs back into BI. The reason we got rid of the headers and the logo is that it was causing the cells in the Excel export with the tool we use to merge the columns. So if your team wanted to use this for data analysis, it was causing them to unmerge and to have to manipulate this statement to get the desired result. We wanted to eliminate those manual steps. So we made that adjustment here, as you can see, but it maintains the drill down back into the site so that you can simply click and drill back in. So it's your data and your analysis view for this update. Now I want to take you into my favorite new enhancement, which is the descending rows and how that is automatically updated in the statements. So for this example, let's look at the last 12 months monthly income statement. And what I'm also going to show you is the navigation here. We added, once you're in the context of editing the statement, we added the ability to edit the rows from this level. Instead of having to go back to the main menu, then select edit rows, we made this simple. So if you see something, like we're in this statement and we're looking at the statement, we don't really like the way that this works, we can now go to the rows, add some changes, and get back into the statement. So I want to show you first from the edit rows how these two green marks came to be and how to edit them. So here, the change we made is if you're clicking on an item, like in this case, total income, the original response was that it was just going to show you income. So what that looks like. And as I'm saving this, it is appropriately warning me that all these other statements have the same row design. This is part of the value that we give you, is that you can make the one row design, apply it to different statements, and any changes are then inherited into the rest of them. So I'm going to say I'm okay with that change. When I preview this report, what it's showing me is that the income line is one singular line. But perhaps I want to be able to see this in more detail. Perhaps I get asked, instead of just showing income, I want to show the underlying components of income. So in that case, I'll select this item and I'll say level to descend next level. The other option is to also descend all the way to the base account. So no matter how many levels you have, from the top line view all the way into the detail, you can then say, I want income, and what it will print is it will then print every individual account at that level and then give you the line item for the total. But first, we're going to concentrate on the single level to descend. I'm going to save that. Again, I'm going to save the shared row design, and I'm going to go back to my editor. Now, these two green indicators, when you mouse over, they give you a tooltip. So that first line is the auto descending row. That's going to be every account at the next level of whatever you chose. So I said total income, and it's going to be the three subcategories of total income that's going to show. I now get the ability to format the individual line item level and also format the total separately. So in this particular case, I want to have this indented one space. Now, as a default, to simplify this for our users, I'll show you what this looks like right out of the box. And we automatically will add that descend as one level as an indent. So you can see that indent directly on the report without having to make that adjustment. But anytime you wanted to adjust that, you could simply click on this, come down to the row indent, and add one, two, or more tabs. Additionally, I want to make these adjustments perhaps to other sections as well. So, and again, I like to be finicky here, so I'm going to take this border off of this row. Again, I'm applying it to that section. And anytime I'm saving, I'm previewing, and I'm getting right to the report, so I now see the detail. But now I see as I've done that, I actually want to add an indent here or an extra blank line. So I want to show you one of the other features that we added to the row design. As I jump back to the row design, we now not only can just quickly switch to system and bring a blank line in, or as you're going through the statements, we added this button here to just simplify this part of the review. So as you're clicking on your accounts or calculations that you want to add and you want to add blank rows, it's easy to add them to the bottom. And again, you can just drag and drop and move them simply within the site. I'm going to get rid of them now for this purpose because I don't need additional blank rows at the bottom. Here, I've added that blank row in. Again, I'm going to save. It's going to appropriately warn me that the other statements are changing. It shows this direct to the preview. Just showing you again this ease and simplicity of the report view, the editing, the adjusting, and navigating. Before I show you another feature, I'm going to actually jump into the format painter at this level to show you how this updates right there in the site. Again, I'm going to roll back to my edit preview view, and I like the way that this subtotal here looks, and I actually want direct profit to look exactly the same. So I'm going to select this entire row. I'm then going to copy the style. I'm going to click on the row where I want to copy it to, and then hit paste style. Now, as you'll see, it didn't exactly copy everything, and that's because I don't like the line, the top border, on the description, so I overwrote it at the cell level. So to apply that same override, I simply click on the item, I copy that style, I click on the one I want to change, and I hit paste style, and I'm done. Again, just a few clicks, a matter of seconds, and now my statement is getting the look and feel that I like. Again, just what we wanted to put into your hands is the ability with this to even take what is already a simple process and make it quicker and more agile for you. Now let's look at what the difference between going one level to descend and then getting all the way to the base accounts. So I'm going to go back into my edit rows. I'm going to click this particular line, and I'm going to now say all the way to the accounts. I will save, again being warned that this is used in multiple places. Go back and simply preview. Now you'll see that it's going to show all the individual accounts that roll up to total income. We have seen this valuable for our teams that either have this particular request or people who just want to make a simple G&A statement where they just want effectively a data dump of all the detail that's summing up to G&A, and they want to create that as their report. Again, at this level, at the total level, all the drill downs are still the same as what you have expected when you're doing this at the descendant level. You'll click, it'll give you the name, the ID, and then you're directly into the transactions. So again, simplifying this entire process view so that you get the benefit of this and your end users for your customers for the financial reporting when you distribute this, add it to the menu, they get all the benefits of this update. And again, I'll remind you, if you do have any questions or you feel if I'm rushing through any content, please feel free to use the Q&A section to ask any questions, ask me to slow down or continue to review any of those items. You'll see I had changed the name rather than income, which is on the income statement. I changed it to total income. That is purely habit on my perspective because I like to say when it is the total of component parts that I add that name total to it. The way I did that to review is in my row design. I'm clicking on the item and I'm simply updating the row title. But let's talk about when we're at this level, also to see where different items come from on the particular chart of accounts. I think it's important to understand that this is part of the speed update and the performance update as well. So because I could change this particular item, it sometimes is important to know, well, where did that actually come from on my chart of accounts? Or if I click on an item, what it's doing is it's highlighting specifically there on the chart of accounts that's tied to the GL chart of accounts, exactly where that's coming from. So again, just that's your audit trail to be able to click and get to specifically these items. Now, these are top level items. If it was at a certain level below, and I had an account on there that was specifically this insurance account, it would expand the tree view and highlight this as well. So if I'm on another item and I click on this, it's going to switch to account and navigate here, so it quickly lets me know where that information is. So want to then spend some time to talk about the automatic date parameters. So when we're in the edit statement view, we have this selection for default parameters. Now in our demo site, our data is rolled back, so our data certainly looks better when I pick an individual date. Thank you, demo data. But we have other options here in the date tool. Now, part of this update was fixing a bug, but it's also adding context to the report so that when your users come into the report, they know exactly what they're using and what is fixing that date. Now, let's talk about the components. Obviously, today, we understand that a fixed date, you purely type it in. End of last fiscal month, last closed fiscal month, and last fiscal year are concepts based on your fiscal calendar set up within your organization. So, and it is different now if you have organizations with different date or fiscal date calendars. So if you happen to have a core business that is on a 12/31 calendar, but then you have another owned business that has a 9/30 fiscal date, it will change these based on the context of what you've selected in the preview. So the consolidation group, the organization that you've picked when you're reviewing the report, both you in this previewer and then also in the report that's been deployed to the site into the menu. So last fiscal month is if it's based on today. So it's 10:30 today. If I pick that selection, it'll run for 9:30. For the last closed fiscal month, now this is tied. For those of you who are in Sage 300, this is tied to at whichever level you close, either the fiscal controls level, the prefix A, prefix B down to prefix C if you have it. It's going to be the minimum at whichever level you picked of the close date for all your organizations. What we mean by that is it's October 30th today. Let's say all but one of your companies had closed September, but you had one company that still had September open, therefore August would be the most recent close date. If you happen to pick the total, the consolidation of all of them, it would by default run for August because that's the most appropriate consolidated close date across your entities. If you, however, select one of the entities that had closed September, it will then pivot that to September. Now, I do want to be clear with the dates. This doesn't preclude you or limit you to the same things that Sage limits you to in their financial reporting. You are not limited to only going 13 or 22 months back. You are also not limited to roll dates forward. So even if your last close date was 3 months ago, is where you've closed the system, but you want to see how you're performing right now, you can always make that update. End of the last fiscal year is again based on your close periods. It will be the end of the, or sorry, it's based on today's date. It'll be the end of the last fiscal year. So if your fiscal calendar for the organization is a December 31st ending period for the year, then based on today, it will default to 12/31/2024. Let's look at this last close fiscal month, and we'll also show how your users get the context of what you're using within the date. So not only is this rolling back to the 11/30, 2023, which is the last close date for my organization structure, but it's giving the user the context here to let them know that the default is the end of the last close fiscal month. In a future release, we're also going to add to the consolidation group structure the visibility of seeing at which level and at what date each of the organizations is closed to continue to add that context so your users can answer that question as well. So look out for that update coming. And again, as you are changing your groups, if these dates are any different, so if something is closed more recently than this particular date, then it will update based on that. So the next thing I want to touch on is the improved statement creation workflow. Now, we've covered some of this already with just the speed of the items, but I want to take you actually to creating a statement, a brand new statement right from the start. So right from the start here, we're going to go to add new. We'll pick the type of statement we would like to create. We are going to pick the security role, give it a title, and a description if necessary. That becomes, when you publish the report, that becomes the subtitle in the menu item as well. We can scroll here and review which column template we would like to pick. Let's pick a simple year-to-date versus budget. From here, I'm going to pick from my row sets. I'll start with an existing one. I'll show you how that works, and then we'll go to just create one from scratch. In my income statement summary, I'll hit next, and it's going to take me straight into the editing. The reason we do that is the process before was it took you into the row design. That was inefficient. If you've already selected a row design that you want to work on, which is 90% of the cases we see when people are creating a brand new statement to deploy to the menu, they're usually working from something that already exists. So again, you're going to start from an existing report. You're going to then pick a different column template, but your row design is going to stay the same. And then we want to get you straight into the formatting because that's where you're going to be next. Rather than the old flow, which was to take you to the row design, then you had to go back, then pick the edit statement. And then if you saw something with the row design where you wanted to perhaps split this apart from another design, you would do that by continually going back to the menu. And also with the old menu being slow, the loading of it being slow, that was a time-consuming effort. So this simplified that process. So now again, I can go through and I can start to format my statement to make it look the way I like it. And I'll give this double rows at the bottom. And I'll remove this. I'll just make some simple changes. We'll save it. We want to preview it. And then I want to show you also an additional preview that we had. The first thing is the defaults. Before this update, the defaults were always set to today's date and to a specific consolidation group. For those that didn't catch the bug, if you didn't set a date in here as you were going through to edit the statement, it actually would show the last income statement or balance sheet that you ran prior to doing that. We not only remove that bug, but we also set the defaults so that by default, it's going to pick the top line consolidation group as your default and the end of the last closed fiscal month as your default there as well. So it's going to speed up that process for you as that's what we saw most of our clients using. Again, it's easy to change to another date default, but we wanted to at least give you one that was most used right out of the box. You'll also notice that we changed this naming. Now, it used to be called Enable ABI Component. That was a very technical description because that's what it does in our database. That meant nothing to our end users. We heard you. We made it simpler. We simply have a publish and an unpublish button. Nice and easy, simple to be able to get these reports out of the menu. The next thing I want to show you then, so we just created a brand new statement in just a few clicks. I now want to show you what it looks like to just create a statement from scratch. Again, we'll go through the same process. Let's make a balance sheet this time. We'll go through the process. So we will make a detailed balance sheet. I want to show this as current period and end of prior fiscal year. I will then pick the appropriate column template, and I'm going to say new row set. Now, as you'll see, it takes me straight to the editor. But with our improved design here, I can go straight to the rows. So now I see those are the columns I want. Now I want to get started with the rows. And again, we're going to try and go quick. So I'm going to add some blank lines just because it's easy to move stuff in between. I'm going to open up my balance sheet, and I want to bring in my current assets. I'm going to bring in my long-term assets and my other assets. And then I'm going to bring in my total assets. And I'm going to call that total. Now, in these cases, I also want to add here, I want to add total because I'm going to expand these views. I'm going to also select here that I'm going to go to the next level on all of these. I'll call this total as well. And here I'm going to add some header rows as well. So I'm going to call this assets. And as I look at this, I'd like to also have current assets. I'm going to then bring in some blank lines on top of these to put some more header rows. So these blank lines can either be just spaces or the header row titles here as well. And I'll make this other assets. Now again, I'll add some more lines down here. We'll create this as liabilities and equity as the header row. Liabilities. We'll add some additional blank lines because we know we're going to move them around in a moment. We'll go to our accounts. And again, I'm going to cheat a little bit, click on something so it at least expands out my chart of accounts, which I should have done there. And then I'll start picking my items. So I'm going to bring in here and say total. I'm going to bring in my long-term liabilities here. And total. I'm going to select the levels to descend. And now let's get equity. So I will have equity and we'll bring that in, change this to total. And now I want my calculation of total liabilities and equity to bring into the bottom. And I like to have the balancing proof in here as well. That calculation, if you'd like to edit at any time, if you're not familiar, you can click on this, simply review the edit calculation. It's going to again warn me this is used in multiple places. It's going to show me this is assets minus my calculation of total liabilities and equity. So perfect. I don't want to save that. Any changes to that, I'm going to save. And now if I wanted to, and I realize here that I made a mistake, so the good idea is to say, well, I want to preview it. It's now going to preview my entire report. I now see I didn't expand equity. No worries, simple enough to come in here, click, edit the levels to descend, save, and then let's go back and start to edit. Now you can see, as opposed to the old view, when we did this before, in order to get all the detail of current assets, you're having to drag in multiple items and then format all of them also. So not only did we add the format painter, but we also made it simple to have the auto expand. I'm going to simply click here and start formatting the statement. Now, as I go through here, I'm making the adjustments to be able to show this statement the way I want it to. I'm going to start with this particular category and then show you how quickly it is to paste the styles across as well. Again, I'm going to, for this particular item, I'm going to bold. I want to start indenting the tabs. This is my individual line of all my current asset detail. So I'm going to indent that twice. My total, I want to have a bold and a border. And in this, I want to remove that top border, and I also want to indent it. So I'm going to add the none style to the top and then indent this one as well. So now at this point, I can preview the report and see, is this the look and feel that I want to have for my statement? I think this looks good. So now I want to apply that to the rest. I'll show you how easy that is. So for my header totals, I like to have these as bold. I'm going to simply copy the style and start selecting the places where I want to now mimic that style. So I'm simply clicking, since I had hit copy style, and I'm pasting it to all of these individual levels that I want to update. Same thing here. I like this style, and I'm going to make that for all of my next level down of all of these account categories. And then for my totals, same thing. First, I'm going to copy the entire row, and then I'm going to do the overrides on the cell, as you'll see. I'm going to pick all of these items. And paste. And now I'm going to take the individual cells, copy those styles, and paste them. And as you'll see, this saves me the time from going to this individual item and having to click, scroll, find the item. Is now clearly my computer is a little cranky with me. Let's save and preview. We'll review this report. We like how this is going so far. We'll give it a chance to catch up since I'm clicking very fast. And we'll continue on our updates. Again, I'm going to take this particular style, copy it, and apply it to the remaining items. Now I see that I want to format the total assets and the header. So I'm going to copy the header. And I'm going to format this entire row. So I like this to be bold, and I like the single overline and the double bottom line. And again, I'm going to take that the border out of that individual cell. And then I'll copy this style to the total. My internet has completely slowed down. Copy this style and then apply it. All right, let's preview the statement. Now we have a statement that is exactly the way we want it to look. The And for the balancing proof, sometimes I'll make that indented or a little gray, so it doesn't stick out in the reporting, but that's there for your review. I'm excited to go back and test the timing on this in the recording to see exactly how long that took to create the statement. But now let's talk about the interconnected nature of the chart of accounts and this the auto descending. So as I'm looking at this, perhaps I don't want to separate accounts receivable and miscellaneous receivables. Perhaps there's a place in here where I want to have less detail on my statement, or I want to expand the particular detail. If I navigate to the GL chart of account map, the the different sections on the chart of accounts now immediately align to what's showing on the report. Now, of course, it's only going to show you anything with a balance, a related balance in that period that you picked. But if I wanted to split out additional detail, well, let's say, for example, someone required me to split out retainage on my reporting. I would simply update my chart of accounts to add a new group account. I'll call this accounts receivable retainage. Say OK. I can move it to the place that I want to in the order. I can then select this, simply drag it over, and then I will save. And this update Anterra button, and I won't go through this because I don't want you sitting here and waiting. The update here that runs, if you're not familiar with it, is it's going to actually send a notification to our system to process the report, process the update of the chart of accounts, refresh the reporting, and it emails you, whoever the user is that hit the update. It's going to email you when that's done. So it'll pop up a notification in the site. It will then send you a notification to your email within generally 2 to 3 minutes, depending on how many other people are doing this at the same time. And then the next time you come into the report or anyone runs it after that time, or when you get the email, you simply hit refresh, then you will see that additional line show up here in the report. I wish this was like a Rachel Ray cooking show where I could bring the baked turkey directly out of the oven. But again, with that update and process, it'll work the same way that it works with you. You will get that email notification when it is completed. Now that is the totality of our update. We went deep into the weeds on all of the updates in Anterra Statement Builder and also showing you the flow and the detail of editing, uh, changing reports, going through the features that were added for the Excel export options, the update of the date parameters, the statement searching and sorting, the statement creation workflow. And again, my favorite of this automatic descending of the account items. I'll review the Q&A for questions. If you have any more, please send. And then also, we'll send out this recording to you as well. So looking in the Q&A, I see a question. Drew, thank you for asking. On the exported Excel reports with the hyperlinks, are the data permissions applied if an external user tried to click on one of the drill down links? That's a great question. So on those drill down links that are also inherited when you send out a PDF, what they are doing is they're sending a link to come back into the site. Now, what that is doing is it's pulling you into the site, which then is also tied to your user permissions. So if you send that out to an external party and they don't have an Anterra login, they will come to the login page and they won't be able to log in to see that detail. If you add a user for them, then when they click on it, they'll be able to come in. So it doesn't give them the access to be able to see that information unless you have decided that they are a user within Anterra BI of your financial reporting, and then they are given the level of detail that you give them. In our security roles, people are limited to not only the group consolidation group level security, so they would only be able to see what access they already have, but also, there's a role definition where you can give people access to be able to review the financial statements, but not drill all the way to the detailed transaction level. So their experience in the system would be they would drill, they would get to a particular level, and they would not be able to go any further into the raw transactions. So that's where they would stop. So thank you very much for the question. And we limit this to the same thing that you limit your users to be able to see. If there are any other questions that haven't made it in the Q&A or you think of questions going forward, please reach out to us at support at anterratech.com. Reach out to me personally, aoleth at anterratech.com. And I hope you get use out of the new tool, out of the speed and efficiency. If you have any questions whatsoever about how to apply this across your organization, or how to get more value out of it again, reach out to us at support@terratech.com and we will river guide you to the right solution for your team. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I hope you have a wonderful day and I hope to speak to you all soon.